These are 5 tools you didn't know you needed until now. This is actually volume 5 of this series. By far my most popular series on the channel are these 5 tool series. I polled the audience and asked, what is your one tool you can't live without, that you love more than any other tool? And I've got one of them in this series that they all said, or not all, but a lot of people said, you gotta get this tool. So I did. Let's try it out. First on the list, before we get to the tool everybody said you gotta get, are Semble clamps. Now these are actually made by Woodpeckers, and when I show Woodpeckers tools on here, sometimes I get a mixed bag. I get a, those are the greatest tools ever made, and I get a, I would never spend that much. However, these have one unique feature that I've not seen on any other clamps, and it looks like they're patented, so you can't copy it. If you've watched the video on these Woodpeckers website, they got some marketing hype around them, if you ask me. They jiggle them and these don't fall. This is a Bessie clamp. I jiggle it, it don't fall. That's nonsense. They also clamp a sheet of paper on the front and the back and you can't pull it out. I mean, I understand it's a parallel clamp, but as long as the pressure is even here, I don't really care if a piece of paper can be stuck in the back. But one thing that actually makes this clamp very unique and worth it, in my opinion, is the fact that this handle can turn 90 degrees and you can get extra torque when you're clamping stuff down, especially like cutting boards or panels, things like that. This is gonna give you that extra little oomph that you need sometimes where the Bessies and other parallel clamps you can't get because it's just the handle. I've hit limits where I've turned it as far as I can. It won't go any further. I need a little bit more. A Semble clamp's gonna let you get there. My only concern with that is how much pressure can it take before something breaks? There's a lot of force there that you're clamping into. And when you add that extra, especially you can just bend this over and shower down on it, man, it could be bad. I'm curious how they hold up, and we'll see in the coming weeks as I use these in the shop. So if you go to Amazon and look, a pair of 31-inch Bessie Revos will cost you about $130. If you go to Woodpeckers and look at Semble clamps, a pair of 31-inch clamps will cost you $140. So there's only a $10 price difference between a Bessie Revo, which up until this point I have thought is the bee's knees. I like it a lot. So the major difference between the Bessie and the Semble clamp is just the handle that pivots like this to give you that extra torque. That's really it. As far as fit and finish go, they look very, very similar. This has more of a matte finish. The Bessie has more of a semi-gloss or a satin finish. I don't know that that even matters. It's just an observation. Now on the bar itself, they look like they come out of the same factory and they put a different finish on them. They both have these ribbed edges on the front. They just look the same. They have the same indentation. It's really similar. On the back, you see, it's really, I don't understand why this is here. You see the Bessies have a cap that goes over the back. You can't see anything in there. Very minor, but you can see the metal plates in there that make up the jaw of the clamp. On the back of the clamp, you can see there's actually instructions on how to operate it. Push out, pull down, push in, push up. As far as clamping capacity goes, these jaws clamp the exact same. You're paying $10 more for this little cool feature right here, which I actually think is worth it if they last as long and work as well as the Bessies. One thing I do notice between the Bessie and the Semble is the Bessie, the bottom jaw looks to be much more robust. Look at the metal in there, and then the Semble has this. It's just, you can see down in there is like a metal plate down there, has this little metal bar, and then that bar connects to the rod itself. And on the Bessie, it has this almost an I-beam style connection that goes back into that bar. This looks to be much more robust. How much that matters? Probably not a lot. It's really solid. I've clamped a couple of things with this thing and it feels really solid, especially when you can, that feature right there alone gives you that extra oomph that you really sometimes need. I really do like that part of it. Is it perfect? Probably not. Is it awesome? Absolutely. Probably one of the coolest and most useful tools I've had in the shop in quite a while is the Rockwell Jawhorse. This is the tool that everybody said, hey, you gotta get one of these. Like I had tons of people telling me, this is it. If you want one tool that's really useful that you're gonna love having in the shop, pick this up. Let me show you what it can do. First and foremost, it's extremely well made. It's very strong. It'll hold like 600 pounds. It has 2,200 pounds of clamping force. This thing is a beast. It also is very compact when it needs to be. As you can see here, it folds up to that. I mean, it's gonna take up very little space. If you're in a small space and you need a sawhorse / clamp, this is the tool. So you see this bar actually slides into this slot. This handle holds these two legs up. And speaking of the legs, they have rubber feet on them to help grip, and it won't hurt hardwood floors if you have to take it in someone's house. To fold it out, to make it where you can work with it, you just turn this little knob right here. Very simple. You're gonna pick up this rod and extend it out, and it locks into place, and you'll just turn the knob. Then you'll fold the feet down. They also lock into position. It's got some heft to it. It's not overly heavy, but it's solid. That comes off. I was going to show you how solid it is. I almost busted my tail. So I weigh 200 pounds, right? This thing is super solid. Super solid. Now the clamping capacity on this thing's 37 inches. They make a model that's $100 more that will actually hold a full sheet of plywood up to 49 inches wide, which is awesome. This was made to hold doors basically because it goes up to, what I say, 37 inches and the door is usually about 36 inches. So it'll hold that. So at this point it's a little over 18 and a half inches this way. However, this actually flips around, slides into that track, and you can clamp down to literally nothing. So if you're working by yourself, this thing is super handy because it has the foot pedal, which is actually the clamp. If you can see, the clamp moves in when you pump the brakes. When you get it to where you want it and you don't want it to move, you're just gonna flip that switch right there. That's gonna lock that in place. You've got it clamped down, it's not going anywhere. To release the pressure or to release that clamp, you just unlock it. Push the foot pedal in, unlock that, and then just released. One thing to note about these jaws is that they have this plastic material on there that won't mar or mark up or cause damage to any stock that you're using. To fold it back up, these are locking switches for each of the front two legs. You can see they have a wide stance and you can actually bolt them down if you so chose to do so. Then on the back, here's the little knob. It's well built. Gives good tension. You just push that up, pull this down, and this lets it free swing at that point. You can clamp most anything with this thing. This is round stock. If I need to clamp to work on that or drill into that, that's gonna be solid. The fact that I can operate the clamping system with my foot and it leaves my hands free is awesome, because there's been many times I'm trying to clamp something or just get something held in place. You don't have a free hand. Well, this allows you to do that, and it disengages with the foot. It's just 2 thumbs up in my opinion. Thank you for the recommendations. If you have a recommendation on a tool that you like in your shop that nobody talks about much, drop those in the comments. If you like this type of videos, click that subscribe button, click the bell icon next to it so you get notified of all the new content we've got coming. This video is brought to you by 731woodworks.com. Go check out our online store. We have easy to follow build plans to help you make awesome projects. If you use the code 5TOOLS, you'll get 20% off any order. Go check it out. Number 3 on the list is a T-Square. I have wanted one of these for a very long time, not just any T-Square. I wanted the Woodpeckers brand T-Square. I really do like Woodpeckers tools, and they're just so accurate. That's why I like them. You can compare the indexable square to the edge rules to any tool they have that has measurements on it. They're going to be the exact same on every tool. Yet that's not the case with every tool line. They're American made, if that matters to you. And I always get a lot of people say, well, you should be using American made tools. And then when you show one that's a little more expensive, they say, well, why is it so expensive? Well, it's made in America. That's kind of the way it runs, right? Now, I've wanted one of these for a very, very long time, and I have oogled and awed over on their website many, many times. This was a gift from a very, very good friend of mine who also gave me the clamps at the same time. So thank you, Jeff. So what makes this really cool is it has these little ledges or notches on there that are exactly the same level as the rule. So when you lay it on the edge of a piece of sheet good or a board, this is now perfectly level with that. And then it'll slide on there just like that. It has a place to actually hook into with that little notch. So everything glides like it's supposed to, nice and parallel. This is the Woodpeckers Edge Rule. I featured those on the very first edition of 5 Tools You Didn't Know You Needed. You can go check that out. I'll link it at the end. These things are awesome. Again, what I love about Woodpeckers, you see that I've got that lined up perfectly on 0, the 1 inch, 2, 3, all the way to 24 are exactly the same. I could lay the Poloni pocket rule on there. I could lay this indexable square up against it. All 4 of these tools are going to match at the exact same spot. The 1's going to be 1, the 6 is going to be 6. That's very, very important in woodworking when you start building certain things. Now, some things it's not, but I really like the fact that these are super accurate no matter which tool you pick up. This is super solid. It's all aluminum. Of course, it's their red color, so that white really pops on there. Every 1/16 of an inch is a hole that you can put your pencil in, and then you can drag this along the edge so that you can get a perfectly parallel line from 1/16 all the way to 24 inches. If you're gonna get one Woodpeckers tool, I say go get the Woodpeckers Edge Rules. You don't really have to get the set. I'd probably get the 24 inch, probably the 12 inch maybe. The 24 inch is what I'm using most of the time. If you're gonna get a second, get the T-Square. And then you can worry about the indexable squares and things like that. On one of the last tools videos, you saw me where I put those battery hangers on there, and then these come with this, I think you can buy it with it. It's called the racket, and I've just put that in there so that it's protected and out of the way. Number 4 on the list is often imitated, never duplicated, the Swanson Speed Square. I've had a Swanson Speed Square since I started working. In other words, I graduated high school in 1995 and went to work construction just a week or 2 later, and this was one of the first tools I ever bought. They're invaluable to have in your shop. Let me show you. One awesome thing about the Speed Square is the fact that it's fast. It's a speed square, so you just lay it on the piece of stock that you're going to mark. This ledge here will hold it against the edge of your board, and then now you've got a perfect 90-degree angle to this edge. And then you can just mark it. That's one of the great things about a Speed Square. It also has these scribe marks in here, or indentions, so that you can hold and draw a parallel line to the edge of the board at 1 inch all the way up to about 2 1/4. You can do 1 inch, you can do 2 inches. It also has 0 to 45 degrees all the way up the edge of the square, but you can also just draw a 45-degree line like that. There are some other features on here that I've never used and probably never will. The hip and the valley, as well as the common pitch for roofs. That's what these are for. I don't use those, so I'm not a roofer. But if you are, there you go. It doesn't matter which way you lay the square on your stock, you've got all the markings the same. Also, the great thing about a Speed Square is it'll stand up on its own, so it's perfect for checking the 90 on saw blades, routers, things like that. I said this is often imitated because there's a lot of cheap knockoffs out there. I've bought 1 or 2 in my past, and they're not good. They don't last. This is a good thick blade on it, so it's about 3/16, a little over 3/16, almost a 1/4 inch thick. And I've only owned 1 or 2 of these in my life, because once you buy them, they're pretty much lifetime tools, because it's really hard to break one of these or bend it without some type of major action happening. This thing will last you a very long time, and it's just a good, solid investment. And when I say investment, they don't cost much at all. I don't care if you have Woodpeckers tools. I don't care if you have Harbor Freight tools. It doesn't matter. This is one of those tools that everybody should have. Personally, I think this is just a no-brainer tool to have. And one of the main features nobody talks about is the fact that you can twirl it and then act like you holster it. Last but certainly not least, a push block. If you're using the ones that come with your jointer, or if you've had them with your router table, these kind like this is what come with the Wahuda. They're really small, they're really jinky. The rubber on them's not great. As you can see here, it's chipped off. It just doesn't last very long. These are by Bench Dog. These are awesome. The rubber's a little bit thicker, it's a little more durable, but more importantly, it's a lot bigger. The handles are a lot fatter, not a lot, but a little bit fatter. Get a better grip on these. They also have a rubber grip that actually grips to them, where these are just plastic and slippery. You have a lot more surface area on the Bench Dog brand to grip with than you do on these, and it's kind of striking how much difference there is. I mean, it's a push block, I know, but that's a lot of extra grip and push that you could push through the jointer, around the table, or around the router. It just gives your hands that much more distance away from the blades and the bits, and I recommend these. If you like this video and you want to see volume 1 and volume, say, 3 or 4, click that box or that box. If you click either one of those boxes, you get a big old virtual fist bump. Also, that's all. Y'all have a good day.